Truth be told, I totally fucked up with my first dog, Ranger. Before I became a dog trainer, I had no idea what I was doing, and I completely misunderstood what socialization really meant. And long story short, Ranger becomes super reactive. Walks were a nightmare. Thankfully, that's a very different story now. And since today is Ranger's 9th birthday, I wanted to do something special in his honor. So I've teamed up with my good friend and legit dog training wizard, Forrest Micke, to break down the perfect puppy training recipe. And our goal is to help you skip the stress, avoid the reactivity, and go straight from puppy to dream dog, all whilst missing out the middleman. Let's get into it. Hi guys, while I've got you, if you want to make even more use of all the information inside this video, then you're going to want to definitely download our Behavior Bible. If you click the link in the description, it will give you everything you need to train a dog. Download the Behavior Bible. And second to that, I just want to thank everyone that has supported this channel so far. We now are able to give 100% of the money away from YouTube that they pay us for your views to a dog charity. And so this week or this month, it was Westside Bullies. I want to get it right. If I haven't got it right, I'll make sure I put the right business name in the description as well. And so if you do me a favor and subscribe to this channel, you will literally be helping out other dogs all around the world. Like I said, every penny that YouTube give us for this video is going to charity. So I just want to thank you furthermore for all your support, and enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, Forrest Micke, we're gonna raise.
You can call me whatever you want, Jacob.
There's the intro. Forrest Micke, how do we raise the perfect puppy? Talk to me.
Oh gosh. What the good news is that a lot of the responsibility for raising a puppy, a good puppy, is on us. And I think it starts with something like, what are the commitments I have to make to ensure that this is gonna go as well as it can go? Kind of think of it that way. And so the first thing I would say is that it starts, we're using a whiteboard, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
We could diagram some stuff. Oh, okay.
You'll upset the guys behind the camera.
I would say maybe the first thing, oh, we have an eraser so that we can just keep on going.
Yeah.
Would be some planning and preparation.
Okay. People aren't very good at that nowadays, right?
And I'm not sure I'm very good at spelling.
That's okay.
But we're going to go with it.
All good.
Yeah, and I think so. And what that means to me is you have to kind of decide how it's going to go before you bring this puppy into your space. So you'll organize your space, you have your crates, you'll have a bait bag. We'll talk about using food in training. That'll be a big thing. Your leashes, your equipment. And I think the biggest thing that people might not kind of keep in mind is the time commitment that it takes to raise a young dog. And especially, you know, I raise young sport dogs, and they're a lot of work. And kind of the question that I often ask people is, with all the other stuff that's going on in your life, do you have time for another, at least, part-time job? Something like that, you know. And I don't want to scare people off because it can go very easy, and some dogs just fit right in at home, and it's no drama. But you could look at it that way because if you want to get it right, I think that you have to carve out a bunch of time to put the training work in and spend time bonding with them and learning the dog. So I'd say planning and preparation.
Cool. What about like breed selection?
Sure. Well, if you're getting something from, you know, a rescue or something like that, you might not know. You could do like a 23andMe or whatever heck that they do for dogs and figure it out. And then if you're selecting a dog from a breeder, so it's a specialized breed that's been selected to be a certain way, a certain type, a certain shape, then you're gonna know much more about it genetically. And I think that could have influence like the actions that you take here a lot, and certainly the path that you're gonna take in training.
And I guess there's always a little bit of a dice roll when it comes to picking a puppy, even from a breeder, right? Mm-hmm. And so you never really know what you're gonna get. How much genetic influence do you think has on the end product of the dog?
It has a lot. You know, if you look at the parents, or you're talking to somebody that's been breeding a long time and has a good idea, like our friend Mike Ellis, who you've been hanging out with here, he has a really good eye, and I think expectation on what the dogs will be based on 30 years of doing this. And so I think you'll have a good idea, but there's so much variation even in a litter of puppies. So I'm raising a puppy right now. He's 5 months old. I saw him since he was 3 weeks old, and he's kind of consistent with some of the features that I saw of him even up until this point. But yeah, that means a lot. Yeah.
Step 2.
Oh, there's so much to talk about, Jacob. How about, let's say the dog comes, you've got the puppy now.
Okay.
Right.
Can I just quiz you on a step.
Okay.
You go to see the breeder, right? All the puppies are running around the room.
Yeah.
Which one do you pick?
You would want to test them individually
Okay.
if you can. Yeah. So you would want to pull them from their litter mates, their environment. If you can, go to a novel environment that they haven't. This is how I would like to do it, and people can do it many different ways. There are puppy tests you could look up and check out. Like there's a Bollard test that's out there that kind of stands the test of time, and then people have their own little twists that they like to put on it. But I would like to remove the puppy from the environment that it knows and amongst its litter mates, its mom, and bring it to an environment where it hasn't seen before by itself. And maybe the only indication that that might show something over time would be how quickly it opens up in that environment, how curious it can be in a new place. And if you see a puppy that you put it on the ground and it's never been there before and they walk around and they're curious and they look open and happy and comfortable, I think that's a good sign. But you want them to take food if they can. You'd want them to be, maybe not standing in the corner staring at a wall scared.
Yeah, okay. Cool. All right.
But that said, doesn't mean anything, really. Like, they still could be great dogs. No.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So we got the puppy. We brought it home.
I think that you should take a lot of time to get to know that dog as an individual. Let's say that. Because there's individual, there's breed variation. So if you're selecting a certain breed like we talked about, you're going to have some sort of expectation about where its motivations might be or what it might like to do or be good at. And then they're all individuals within it too. Like I've been doing this quite a long time, and I've raised a lot of dogs, but still every time I get a puppy, I have like this real moment of, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, right? I'm like, how is this shit gonna go, man? And it's a little bit like, I don't even think I'm a dog trainer right now. Like, this dude's gonna throw me for a loop. Like, I don't want anybody to see this crap while I figure it out, right? But it's a ton of observation. So I kick back and I know what I'm doing and I have an idea of how I would like it to go, but a lot of it is just observing it as an individual and seeing where it takes you. And I think that's kind of a beautiful thing about rearing puppies, is to let it, breathe a little bit and let it have its own direction. And so if you have some wisdom, that you can follow that. And I think most people do. Probably the average person's like, yeah, it's my dog. Who knows who he is? Let's just let him show me there's something to that. So get to know them as an individual. And what that means for me is, the observation portion of it. So I'll have a plan, but I'm really ready to change it or adjust it based on what I'm seeing from the dog. And it's just a window of time, bring them to new places. I'm prepared to do some training, but really I'm just taking it in to observe. What are you good at? What are you not? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And I start to make training plans based off that.
Is there any red flags we need to look for in that time?
Maybe not red flags, but opportunities or training problems. So the things that I'll keep an eye on, or especially when I'm going out into environments and exposing the animal, is, are they particularly sensitive to something that I hope that they can overcome through time? Socially, we can talk about socialization, but when they're out amongst the world around them, are there certain things that are already triggers or already causing emotional responses that I think are going to be a little bit difficult to overcome, or going to take a significant amount of work and time to counter condition? It's not a red flag, it's just who they are, and I note it, and I have a training plan for it.
But that said, I guess in many instances that, a puppy going out into the world and being a little unnerved by a couple of things is totally normal, right?
I think so too.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have a problem later on, but some things, I guess, need to be approached with just some consciousness. Just be aware of that. Okay, so when I first brought my dog home, he was super comfortable around most things, but he had a bit of a adverse response to a skateboard.
Yeah.
And so we did some work around skateboards.
Understandable.
And I wasn't thinking, oh my God, this dog's going to be reactive. Yep. I just thought I need a little bit more time around skateboards in case I wanted to take up skateboarding one day like you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got to know our dog a little bit, and we're kind of seeing what makes him tick and how he feels about the world. Next step.
Maybe we get into some training.
Okay.
And we can talk about how that'll go, but how about foster attention everywhere?
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah. In like the pro circles, we sometimes say engagement work. That's kind of a buzzword. Teach the dog engagement. And all we mean by that is that you can capture their imagination or earn their attention in any environment under any circumstances. And sometimes it's a lofty goal, but if we get our work right, I think that we can often do that. So I'm not looking for sits or downs, or I'll put a lot of practice into recalls and a few behaviors, but attention is the first thing that I want to capture. And so if I go into a new place, if I say, hey puppy, would you like to do something with me? Or do you still realize I'm here? I would like them to often reference me and hang with me.
Are you telling me my puppy doesn't need to know paw?
No, it doesn't need
What about
to
roll over?
No, it doesn't. Those are great behaviors, but it doesn't. But the best thing that you could do is when you get out amongst the world, especially when you're going into environments, like you're bringing your dog out in the real world, and you're going to have to compete with a ton of stuff out there, that you can have their attention. You can have their curiosity. And if you have that, it's very easy to make sits and downs and paw and roll over or whatever the hell.
Gotcha.
There's something, I'll say this to your audience. Seeking salience, and it's kind of a fancy word that we kind of talk about in dog training sometimes, but it's the same thing as engagement. And so it's a dog that wants or desires. Because sometimes people say hope, but it's more like maybe a more fancy definition of it. But if I go out in the world and I'm in an environment that's challenging, but my puppy is still seeking for me and wanting the interaction, then that's a good place to be.
Nice. I always tell my clients I'd rather my puppy know one thing everywhere than 100 things in just one place,
Beautiful,
right?
yeah.
Because so many people, they teach their dog 100 behaviors inside the house, but they go outside the house and they miss this bit, the engagement or the seeking salience, and so the puppy quickly forgets it all.
That's right.
Because we haven't got the backbone. So a question I have for you is, I see a lot of trainers, especially balanced dog trainers, sometimes I feel like they over-engage their dog and they don't allow their dog to interact with the world.
Yes.
And I feel like they create so much neutrality on that scale, and things carry a value of 0. And of course, some people can over-socialize their dogs, and other dogs may be like a value of 10. And of course, we don't want our dog to be fearful, and we got like a minus 10 here, right? But I feel like if we do end up at this 0, which a lot of people aim for, and something bad happens with our dog, because with another dog perhaps, it's very quickly easy to jump down into the negative numbers. So I wanted all of this with my dog, but I did actually, contrary to some advice, allow him to play quite a lot with other dogs, but under the condition that he would prefer to engage with me.
Great.
How do you feel about that?
I think that's perfect. I think if your dog is strong in something and weak in something else, you should work on the weakness.
Gotcha.
And I've got a friend, he's a European guy, and is okay English, but it's fun to ask him questions about things because he has to just use the simplest words to get the heart of it, right? So it's going to be no fluff. So I'm like, his name is Joachim, he's lovely. I said, what's the first thing you size up in a puppy? And he says, independence, or like Velcro-ness or stickiness. How independent are they, and how way into me are they?
Gotcha.
And so if he sizes that up, then he just works on the other thing. You have a dog that's very independent. If you walk out and they don't want anything to do with you, then you foster what we're talking about here, this attention or the seeking aspect of it, because they're so good at going out and exploring and maybe comfortable with it.
Nice.
And if it's the inverse, then you can do what you did with your puppy, and I think that's good.
Yeah, that's great advice. I like that a lot.
And I think this is common. Even I will practice many skills in an environment that is safe, normalized, consistent, my kitchen, my living room, or whatever, right? That's where you train stuff. Like, do you want to learn the paws up, the roll over, the sit, the down? I teach my dogs some fancy stuff, so I work on the fancy things there. We often call it like a training lab. But the goal is always to have these behaviors show up in other places,
Gotcha.
to get them outside. And so there's kind of a path that we take for stuff. This is a behaviorist kind of idea, but we'll call it behavioral momentum. And one thing that can happen is the environment can become the thing that drives behavior very easily. If you practice something 1,000 times in this green room, it's going to be really strong in the green room. And if you never practice it outside of here, the dog will have no idea. Right?
Is that because the green wall becomes like part of the conditions to the behavior?
Exactly. The green wall, the blue wall, the stuffed animals out there, the smell in here, your energy, and just the ritual of coming into this place. But we know that environment and even or the same thing as location can do a lot to drive expectations. So they come in and expect to do the thing in here, and that's what makes it easy for them to do it. But we would like to have our behaviors and our cues that prompt the behaviors supersede the environment. Like I want my dog not just to come in my backyard, but to come in the park and to come in my friend's house, etc. And so you can do 100 reps in this environment, one environment. But you might actually be, if your end goal is to generalize it to everywhere.
So here's our kitchen.
That's good. Kitchen.
Yeah. Okay.
The safe place.
Yeah. Our lab.
Our lab.
Gotcha.
That's a training lab.
It's a training lab.
You guys all know, everybody that's watching this, pick a lab. Pick a training lab, not a
Not
dog
chocolate
lab. A training lab. You can do 100 reps in your lab, but you might actually be wasting 75 reps. You might not need that many.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
And who's got time to do that if the goal is here? Like imagine if you need 7 different locations to practice at before you're generalized to everywhere. Somebody said that once, an old dog trainer. So 100 reps, you might be wasting time and resources and food. And so maybe you do 15. And let's say 13 out of those 15 reps are 2 criteria. This is a behaviorist idea, so I'll just walk you guys through it. And 2 criteria is maybe it's you say your dog's name and they look at your face. That's all you want. Fido, click. Food, Fido. And Fido's like, this shit's easy, man. I just look at your face and you say my name. Don't do 15 more reps.
Okay.
In your kitchen. Go to your backyard.
We're ready to advance. We've passed.
Move on,
Nailed it.
dude. These dogs are smart. They're capable. You don't have you got 6 kids, and a wife or a husband or whatever to take care of.
Yeah.
And you got this puppy and it can't rule your world, so you need to move on. So you go to your backyard and let's say you're just like, I just want 10 reps. So you do 10 reps of saying Fido. And what you want is when you say his name, he looks at your face. And when he looks at your face, you click and you throw a piece of food at him, right? Because that's what makes it worth it. That's his reinforcement. So Fido's like, I love, when you say my name, I love looking at your face or orienting towards you. And let's say that 8 out of 10 times, he does it perfect.
Gotcha.
Move on.
And are we incrementing difficulty here? Like of the environment, I mean.
We are. So this is, let's call this that. The incremental, like increase in difficulty is, let's call it distraction.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Aggressive overload of distractions.
So that's the, we'll work on the 3Ds, but we are working on distraction work. By changing the environment, we are increasing likely the distractions that are happening.
Gotcha.
The things that are contributing to the potential for that dog to fail because now there's new smells and new sights and new stimuli, right? The street out in front of my yard, do 10 reps, 8 out of 10, Fido gets some rare, right? Move on.
And so we're looking for like an 80% success rate to graduate criteria, yeah?
That's the rule.
Okay, 80% rule, I like it.
And that's a Bob Baileyism if you guys wanted to know.
Perfect.
Are we getting sloppy here? Is this okay still?
No, this is great. Super.
How's that looking? Cool. Famous behaviorist, direct descendant to B.F. Skinner, father of operant conditioning. So if you're a trainer watching, then you would know that. And if you're not, and you're some person that likes to self-study this stuff, then go for it, because it's really neat, yeah. So the 80% rule is when you pick a behavior that you're teaching, when you have an idea of what you want it to look like in your mind, it's a recall. I just want to call my dog and I want them just to come and stand in front of me. That's it. That's your criteria, right? If you're practicing in one location and the dog does it to 80% well, move on. If you're going for 20 more reps, you're wasting your time. The dog is way more capable than that. And the way that we challenge it, the way that we move on is by increasing distraction. And in this setup, we're talking about changing environment. There's also, if you're working on a down stay and you're right next to your puppy, hey, you're in a down, feed a lot for the down. Good for you for staying in a down. Eventually, you might aim, that dog can hold a down while you're 30 meters away. And so distance is something you might try to progress on. That's different than distraction. We call that a different area of proofing. And then the third is duration. And this is a common way that trainers have categorized ways or challenges to behavior that can exist when you're teaching it. Hey, if I want to do it from a distance, that might be hard for you because you like being close to me because you're sticky, or because all reinforcement comes from me, so you want to be close. Duration, how long can I do this? 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and distraction. This is another Bob Baileyism, but 60% of your work should be here in this realm.
Interesting. Okay.
And you should be close to the dog so that you can support mistakes, so that you can reinforce the right responses. If you're working on duration, that stuff and distance comes easy if you work your ass off right here on distraction work.
Gotcha.
Right? If your eventual goal, we're talking about a simple behavior, Fido, look at my face. Yeah, that's a good start. Fido, look at my face. And eventually I want Fido to look at my face down in Times Square, right?
Yeah.
But maybe you can get that way, and we're talking about distraction. Maybe the eventual goal is that when you say, Fido, look at my face, he can do it for a minute straight in Times Square. And that's where we come into like duration, or from 100 yards distance. But we usually work on these things simply.
Nice. Okay, so we've got backyard, street, and we're going to graduate to friends. Amazingly, you said, you know, it could take as little as 15 reps over here, right? People spend hundreds of thousands of reps here. How much training are they wasting?
I think a lot of training, you know, and resources, you know, your kibbles.
I guess it'd be like bench pressing 40 kilos and trying to get stronger. Every time you go to the gym, you're bench pressing 40 kilos.
It's a good analogy,
kilos,
yeah.
40 kilos.
Yep.
And you're like,
Yep.
I can do this now. Well, you know, I have to make it harder, right?
I'm still the same size and shape. You know, like I am no better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
Really. Just wasted my time and money on a gym membership.
And they wonder why then the dog doesn't pay attention
Yep.
on the walk.
Yep.
Okay, you want to carry this on?
Yeah, and I think people get the idea. This could be Walmart parking lot, and you know, and then this could be some you change countries or something. I go visit you in Yorkshire. I don't know why I went into that accent. You know, and the idea is then you have a dog that is, we call it competent in behavior, and if you did it this way, we had a friend that said, if you can get that behavior in 7 different locations, it's more or less, you know, generalized.
Nice.
And so we have a dog that's listening to a prompt. It doesn't matter if the walls are green because the prompt exists everywhere. Gotcha. And what we didn't do is risk depleting our ability to move into different environments because we over practiced in one place and let location take too much import. That's
Amazing.
it. No. Okay, we got that.
Yeah, we got it.
Cool. And let's just say that, maybe that was okay.
We're in step 3, just training.
Okay, yeah, training.
Something to do with dog training, I think.
Okay. Blah, 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 everywhere. Okay. But what we were just talking about, if for those of you that are into this stuff, you can just say behavior economics.
Oh, nice.
And that has to deal with the cost and the expense of an animal performing any behavior. And so we're talking about a simple thing like focus, and we're paying it with hopefully something that makes it show up more. We're reinforcing it, and the sweet spot of momentum for shifting it so that it becomes stronger and it becomes less location specific and it shows up everywhere. And this is the world that we're living in. And this is the realm of behaviorists too.
Okay. There's a U in there, I think, because of, you know, we invented the language.
That's so funny. Anyway, I've spent enough time around Australians. It's the same thing. So I think, let's go to 4.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
People should be interested in we say reinforcement. That's just what we're talking about, paying the dog for a simple thing. Let's also go further and say meaningful rewards, or interactions. So with your young dog, your puppy, right away you want to be interested in, let's say, what makes them tick, what's valuable to them. And the breed, so like the genetics is going to really matter in here. So we have traditional rewards like food and toys, like stuff that we as professional trainers often lead with when we're starting to teach dogs things. But then there are also activities or innate interactions or experiences that they're going to have. They're going to be really interesting to them. And so we should be interested in this stuff, and kind of it goes back to getting to know our individual dog, like what drives them and makes them tick. And what we want to do is channel, harness, and use those things for our training goals.
Gotcha. You got an example?
Play,
Okay.
of course. I've got a breed of dog that really likes play. So they would like to chase drive objects, we call them,
Gotcha.
right? Prey objects. I've got a Belgian Malinois. It's kind of the breed I've raised for a long time. But there are many dogs that do this. Most breeds of dogs and mixes or whatever have, this predatory sequence that will carry out with them. They have an interest in objects, especially when they move, and they like to put their mouth on them.
Why is this different to giving the dog a toy? Food and toys, reward, and then you said play. It's an interaction. What's the difference?
The dynamic, the inclusion of me. I've got a friend that says they're not playing, they're doing predatory shit.
Nice.
Right. This play could be you pushing your dog around and like having some personal experience, right? But a lot of these dogs that are doing predatory shit, they're not playing. They're rehearsing ancestral motor patterns that were passed on from serious fucking hunters, killers, right? It's the remnants of a sequence of behaviors that carried out in order for them to earn a meal. And that stuff wasn't, I just do this one day or not. That was a necessary function for them to exist. And so dogs aren't wolves. They're specialized animals that actually are better than wolves in many different areas, right? But somewhere down there, they came from something like wolves, right? If it wasn't a wolf, it was something like that. So they've been handed down this predatory sequence. We could talk about it, but we call it play. It's them interacting with prey objects. And what's cool is like, it's not having the object itself. It's the act of biting it. It's the act of chasing it. It's the act of bringing it back to you and seeing if you'll take it from them. That's the greater experience. And for us, what I would want is to be a part of it, right? Like if you were playing and teaching your dog to play and you give them the object and they run off and they're satisfied and they've had enough, it doesn't require you to be a part of it. I would like to transcend the object itself. So the dog has it, but they need me to make it better.
Gotcha.
If they put it in my hands, I can put the heartbeat back in that thing. If they put it in my hands, I can try to steal it from them, but I'm not good enough, so they win. And all of that stuff enhances the experience, I think, and makes me an important part of it.
Gotcha. And that's how we take a toy to a game.
Yeah.
And if we neglect this, if we neglect to give our dog, our puppy, an outlet for this, what happens?
They'll just be deficient, underdeveloped, not actualized, not as beautiful as they could be.
Could this spill out elsewhere?
Yeah. I mostly only see benefits to doing this stuff. So the common question I have from people that aren't sure about playing with their dogs, like the average pet owner, is they think that by opening up this can of worms that it could spill out elsewhere. If I teach my dog to put its mouth on that and interact in a way that looks kind of violent, if it's going well, it usually does.
Yeah.
Will it start doing that to my Chihuahua that's at home? I don't know, maybe it will. Usually not. Part of what developing meaningful interords and interactions and reinforcement is channeling, right?
Gotcha.
And so these dogs are gonna dog. That stuff, what we're talking about, this predatory shit, is in there. And if you don't channel it and harness it and focus it into interactions that are appropriate, it could outlet in other places. And so what I find with this is if we put it into the right place in an activity that we control and that we're a part of, it serves us in many places, and they often don't outlet it in other stuff.
Gotcha.
But it's there, we can't ignore it. And so they can become a little dysfunctional if we don't honor it, but put it into a place that's functional for us.
Perfect. Amazing. Let's do one more step.
Okay.
Let's do one more step. Let me get one more step out here. This has been gold. We've planned, we've prepared, we know our puppy, we've spent some time getting to know him, and we've fostered attention everywhere. We taught one behavior in 7 locations instead of 100 behaviors in 1, and we're channeling his predatory drives in order to give him an outlet. One more step.
Well, I think what's important, we could go steps here, but if we're talking about puppy stuff, and here's a video where we're kind of exploring how do we set our puppy up for success and what are the things we have to do. Management is key. We use management to protect the dog from rehearsing things that we don't want them to rehearse. A dog or puppy is always learning. Even when we have something else to do, we can't focus on them. They are learning stuff. And especially if you have a puppy that's got some energy and is curious about the world, we say that they're precocious. That means they're kind of develop at a young age. They're going to be out looking for stuff to do. And so if we can't always be overseeing that or training them, then we have to manage them. And so that's how we protect them from rehearsing behaviors that we wouldn't want them to do and can add up.
Gotcha.
Crate training, expense, etc.
People don't like this bit.
No.
They feel bad. They just want to let their puppy run around the house and get up to no good and hope that they'll just grow out of it. But they don't realize they're depositing into a behavioral bank account, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes puppyhood, I think, have to be prepared for some parts of it at least to be a little bit boring, to have a really great dog in the end that doesn't have a bunch of unwanted behaviors.
I think that's an important thing that you just said too. Gives them time alone. You have a crate or you have an X-Pen. It allows you to get the puppy away from you. Maybe you need a break or something. Go hang out there, and you purposely set up time alone from them. But yeah, I feel it too. I live in a place where people I don't want to put a leash on my dog. We don't crate in this family.
Never used one.
Yeah, you don't have furniture either because the fucker is just tearing that out. Your carpet's been torn out because it's got a bunch of urine spots on it. Yeah. I mean, some dogs are just really lovely and it's no drama, but these guys are up to do stuff and they're going to explore and they're going to get into things, and so you should manage them, and that'll just make your life a lot easier. And it also sets up for like when we go out and do, like we're talking about training here. When you go out and do your training sessions, you can kind of let them bottle up a little bit. There's a little bit of social deprivation if they're spending time alone. When you come back to them with your food reinforcement and you say, here's our time to shine and do some stuff, they're going to be way into it. And so that's an important part to set up and make better these little moments where you do some small training sessions with your dogs.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. And exposure work is, we have to get our dogs out into the world. We want them to be good citizens. We want them to be comfortable and fit into the lifestyle that we're going to have. And there's a lot that can be said, on this. Socialization was a word, still used. Like for me, this means I want to find some cool dogs and cool people that I trust that my dog can actually have social experiences with. We do a lot of the neutralization stuff. You were talking about that earlier, but I also want to go into environments and my dog has no expectation of socializing. That's probably actually going to be a majority of, for me, what they're going to do is you go out, you see things, it's no drama. It's actually an opportunity for you to interact with me if I say there's an opportunity here. So I
guess if we create a consistent expectation, they're going to go and meet everyone. Then later on, if they're maybe too big or, they don't have social behaviors to interact with everyone, they might get frustrated, right?
That's right.
Because it was kind of like a prediction error.
That's right. Good call. I feel really convicted right now because I got a big 5-month-old puppy and all he does is goes and jumps on people. And
well, you can fix it. It'll be fine. I'm sure you'll
as you were saying that, I'm like, Jacob, I'm developing a problem right now. God, don't listen to me.
I'm a pony. I'm a fucking meltdown.
That was real, dude. I just had an out-of-body experience. I can fix it. No, but it's also, to your point, back to like on a serious note, I have a puppy that is not sure about people. And
Gotcha.
I want him to be. And so while I'm here, like for me, I live elsewhere and I come into a place that's got a bunch of savvy dog people in an appropriate environment. I love for him to meet people that are going to act the right way. And so he's amassing a bunch of positive experience right now that he needs to have because he's the type of dog that could go the other way.
I guess it's back to the social scale, right? You got the 0 here, the -10, and you got the +10 here. And this is a dog that loves people. This is a dog that isn't bothered. And this is a dog that's terrified. And then you might have a dog that's a -2 here, just a little bit of nerve with people. And when we might promote interaction with toys and food with this dog to bring them like closer up this way. But then a lot of people, I guess, have a dog that's maybe +2 or maybe even +5, and in their head they think socialization is just meeting everyone and getting toys and food from people, and it's just going to drive the dog up here, the dog with loads of social expectation to want to say hello to everyone. So I guess it really does depend kind of on how our dog naturally perceives the world, depending on kind of their interactions, right? And that's why it's important, as you say, to get to know your dog. Brilliant.
This is so helpful, this scale. You've got a video out on that. I should watch that thing. Well, and the last thing I'll say on this is like, this foster attention everywhere or engagement work or just teaching your puppy to do cool shit out in the world, you can use your environment as like props for it. So environment is a prop, and you guys would, anybody watching can see a prop this out there. But if I teach my puppy in my lab, my kitchen, to put its front feet on a little rubber bucket, it's a common thing we do. And they do it 8 times in my kitchen, and 8 times in my backyard, and 8 times in my street. Now I've changed the location. But what I could also do is change that little thing they put their feet on. It could be a rock, it could be a log, it could be, anything else that's out there. That's also a form of momentum, shifting it. And so I could use at a kitty playground or something here. There's a little step that goes up to a slide, and I teach my dog to go and put its feet up there. And now they're practicing training that's familiar to them in new places.
Gotcha.
So we like to make the environment kind of serve us in that sense. So.
Perfect. Cool. I think that's a good opportunity
start.
to wrap up. Yeah. Guys, if you're watching this and you've listened to that is golden advice. I always say that not all advice is created equal. And so if you listen to anything about raising a puppy, listen to this, follow this, making sure you're getting to know your dog, you plan and prepare accordingly, and you're generalizing behaviors more than just in your lab, in your kitchen, and just, everything absolutely golden. Forrest, Micke, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to get to know you. And that was great.
It's been lovely hanging out with you guys this week, man. Cool.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
And so if you didn't quite nail puppyhood, that's okay. I've got good news for you. If you click this video right here and you've got a reactive dog, it'll show you how to transform your dog from totally reactive, completely frenzied, completely out of control to a calm, neutral, obedient companion, just like my dog, Ranger.